Let's create a data class to define our sleep data entity. In the database package, open the sleep night file if it isn't already open. Inside, we define a data class and call it sleep night. We add a var parameter variable for the ID called night ID. This has to be a long because we're going to auto-generate the key, and we have to initialize it, so we make that 0. We add a parameter variable for the start time in milliseconds. We initialize this to the current system time in milliseconds, since we create a new sleep night when the user presses the start button to start recording. Next is the parameter variable for the end time, which we initialize to be the same as the start time. This gives us a handy way of telling whether or not the stop button has been pressed to record an end time, which is always going to be different from the start time. And we need to add the sleep quality rating, which we set to -1, indicating that no sleep quality has been recorded yet. To make sleep night a class that Room can use to create a table, we need to annotate it with the entity annotation. And here is the import statement for entity. We want to give our table a custom name, a name that's different from the default of deriving it from the class name. We do this by adding parameters to the annotation and setting the table name parameter to daily sleep quality table. Changing the table name is optional, but it's a good idea to identify your table with a name that includes table. Next, we need to identify the primary key to Room. Having a primary key is mandatory. We are using night ID, so we annotate it with primary key. And here is the import statement for the annotation. There will be an import for each annotation, and you can take a look at them when you do the exercise. Since we want the key generated by Room, we add a parameter to set auto-generate to true. Room will generate a unique key for every instance of this class, which parallels every row in the table. We are going to annotate the remaining table columns with column info and give each a parameter for a custom name. Here is for the start time with start time milli, end time with end time milli, and the sleep quality with quality rating. Now, you can change a lot of other attributes of the table and columns using additional annotations. So check the documentation listed in the instructor notes for more options. And that's the sleep night table. We build and run the app to make sure we didn't break anything. All good. Okay, now it's your turn.